the pseudo-Clementines say about Peter and his followers. They never changed their cloak. They wore shop-worn clothes. So there's all that. That is similar. So they work assiduously before noon, when again they show devotion to the deity before the sun rises. They do not utter a word. There's rising before the sun, same as Peter and the pseudo-Clementines. They don linen clothes, wash all over with cold water, so they do the immersion. After that, they immerse themselves every day, just like Peter and the pseudo-Clementines, and so on and so forth. Showing indignation only when justified, they keep their tempers under control. They champion good faith and serve the cause of peace. Every word they speak is more binding than an oath, swearing that they reject something worse than perjury. That's the same sort of Christians. They are wonderfully devoted to the work of the ancient writers, choosing mostly books that can help soul and body, etc., etc., etc. A person desirous of joining the sect are not immediately admitted. Excluded for a whole year, a man is required to observe the same rule of life as members, receiving from them only a hatchet, a loincloth, and white garments. When this period has been ended, he is associated more closely with the rule, permitted to share the pure waters of sanctification. So they then go into some purer form of bathing. In 2 more years, his character is tested. And then before touching the pure food of the community, the Dead Sea Scrolls have pure food of the community, he must swear terrible oaths. First, that he will reveal God. Secondly, that he will deal justly. Righteousness towards your fellow man, that's the righteous commandment. With his fellow man, will not injure anyone, and so on. And he will cooperate with the good and keep faith at all time, especially with rulers, since all power is conferred with God. Now that makes it look more Pauline in Romans, but I'm not sure if that may not be what do you call it, interpolation here, or the rulers may just be within the community. But that's a very strange thing there, because the Qumran documents don't have such an attitude at all. And if the Dead Sea Scroll documents are supposed to be Essene, then you would think that they accurately display who the Essenes are. So that's an important point there, and something to think about. He further swears not to impart their teaching to any man, otherwise as he himself has received it, and so on. That's the beginning of the pseudo-Clementines. That James makes everyone swear not to impart the doctrines to outsiders, and to keep everything between them in a secret way. The scrolls have similar oaths. What they reverence most after God is the lawgiver. The lawgiver is Moses. So that sets Paul outside of them in Galatians. And blaspheming him is a capital offense. That's interesting. Blaspheming the lawgiver, Moses, is a capital offense. There are people in the book of Acts who want to kill Paul. Well, according to this document, that's a capital offense. I'm not for that doctrine, mind you. I'm not advocating that doctrine. I'm trying to explain the situation here. You follow me? So you can learn a lot if you read this material closely. They are divided into 4 grades. They are long-lived, most of them passing a century. I think this is page 136 in your book. Owing to the simplicity of their daily life, I suppose, and regular routine, they despise danger, conquer pain by sheer willpower. If it comes with honor, they value that life more than life without end. Their spirit was tested and broken, and so on and so forth, in the recent war, and they will not blaspheme the lawgiver or eat forbidden food. Well, there's the contradiction of the vision in Acts. So as I was saying, either you feel that, you think that these people set the holy things up according to their precise specifications, which the Damascus document says in the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's what the new covenant is, to set the holy things up precisely, and to separate holy from profane absolutely. Or you think the Pauline New Testament gospel view, that there are no forbidden things as presented by the text. That's really where our issue is here. And then we got to put Jesus in the middle of this. Now, I didn't find the thing that I was really looking for here, which is righteousness towards your fellow man and piety towards God. I think I can find it better in my other one. Let's see. In that section, they do not change their shoes and have threadbare clothes. The next thing says their piety towards the deity takes a peculiar form. Before the sun is up, they utter no word, but offer to him certain prayers. So right before that bathing and rising, we have piety towards God. That is the first love commandment, loving God. These are the two love commandments. And then later on, we saw that other one, which is, so all these purity regulations come under the heading of loving God. And again, it's further along here. It says, first they will practice piety towards the deity. Next they will observe righteousness towards men. That he will, who will wrong none, whether of his mind or another order, that he will forever hate the unjust and fight the battle of the just. They will keep faith with all men, and they, and with the powers that be. This is a little different than the way our description has it. Since no ruler attains office save by the will of God. But the question is, I think, which powers that be here that they're willing to recognize. But anyway, but there, right before that, it says they will practice piety to God and righteousness towards fellow man. That's the second love commandment. That is righteousness to fellow men. So that's John the Baptist's teaching in Antiquities, as we saw. That's the Essenes teaching, and that's Jesus' teaching in the Gospels. So we have a direct line through these three groups. And I probably can show you what's James' teaching too in his letters and what's ascribed to him. So those are the two love commandments: love God and love your fellow man. Righteousness towards God, piety towards God, righteousness towards your fellow man. So that's, and then of course, as I said, this last bit here, that the Essenes took part in the war against Rome. If they touch a junior to a senior, the senior must take a bath as if contacting an alien. This is the last part. They lived to a great age, most over a century. Simeon Bar Cleophas over a century. They make light of danger, triumph over pain by their resolute will. Death, if it comes with honor, they consider better than immortality. In the war with the Romans, that tried their souls through and through by every variety of tests, racked and twisted, burned and broken, made to pass through every instrument of torture, in order to introduce them to blaspheme their lawgiver or to eat some forbidden thing. They refused to yield or to either demand, or ever once did they cringe their persecutors or shed a tear. Smiling in their agonies and mildly deriding their tormentors, they cheerfully resigned their souls, confident that they would receive them back again. What are these? Martyrs. If you want first Christian martyrs.